All right, all right. Hope you guys can see and hear me. It is Monday. Welcome into the Monday message. My name is Omar Smith. I work here at the Base Shop for Stephen and Holly. And it's time to get into some good content. This weekend was crazy. Had NatCon going on. So I hope you were able to live stream that and watch some of that. Some really good things going on there. Announcements. People from our team specifically getting recognized, which is huge. Always love to see that. And today we actually have a really special treat. The man himself, Mark Hutcheson, #1 producer in the country, is going to be doing some in-depth sales training today. So text your downline, get your new agents, people coming out of class, get them on this call. We're going to be uploading this to YouTube later today or first thing tomorrow if they can't be on live. So please utilize that. I got my notepad, my recorder here, so I'm here to take some notes, and you guys need to do that as well. This is definitely someone you want to learn from. But before we get into Mark's training and the numbers, I'm going to preface it by saying that the report came out a little late last week. So these numbers are kind of low. They're not an accurate reflection of what happened last week, even though they're still pretty good. So to prevent that in the future, some of you guys are already doing it, but if you can make sure that you're utilizing the TDG financial website and submitting your numbers that way we can all see it. It goes to all of our emails here. Someone's going to see it because we want to make sure we can update this and make sure we recognize you guys for the production you're actually doing. So please make sure to utilize that. And before I get into the numbers, I'm actually going to show you the website really quick. It's going to take me like 2 minutes to show you guys how to do that going forward. So I'm going to try not to screw this up, and hopefully you guys can see my screen. If not, somebody please text me. But I've got the TDG Financial home screen pulled up here. So you don't have to go anywhere crazy. So this is the home screen. You're just going to go to the top left corner to the agent portal. And then boom, here we are. So we got agent activity, submitted business, and resources. So you guys are going to focus right here in the submitted business. So we're going to click there. Same old same format you're probably already using. Name, NAA number, email address, the time you submitted it, the policy number, applications, all the usual stuff here. So nothing too crazy, things you guys are already doing. If you use Google Sheets or Excel, something like that, there's actually a link where you can upload that file if that's simpler. Works the same way. It's going to come straight to us. We'll get that and make sure that we can update that in the numbers, make sure it is accurately reflected. We want to make sure you guys are getting that in because we want to recognize you. We want that. So that is that. So I'm going to stop sharing that now, and hopefully you should be able to see me again. All right, so now with that said, and that preface, we're going to get into some numbers. We're going to start off with all producers over $1,000 for last week. I'm going to break the rules just a smidge and give a shout out to Eleanor Rule here in the Base Shop. She just missed the cut by $5, a little less than $5. So I want to shout her out just a little bit. Stephen Holly, don't be mad. Next, we got Jordan Sims, $1,117.20. Billy Crane, $1,120.92. Jacob Woods, $1,202.28 on 6 apps. That's work. Brandon and Ashley Beal, $1,560. I missed Sheena there. Sheena Flowers, $1,253.16. Diana Castile, $1,866.48. And we've got Darling Garcia, $1,921 submitted last week. Hopefully I don't butcher this. I apologize in advance. Machino Miller, $2,036.40. Alfonso Bell, $2,109.84, 5 apps. Alejandra Samaniego, hope that's close, $4,215.96. Evan Patzer, $4,891.04, 6 apps. Gustavo and Mercedes to run, $7,451.64. Mini Romero, $7,526.40. Jeremico Edwards, $8,183.76 on 10 apps. The man himself, Mark Hutcheson, coming in at #2, $13,045.20. And then, of course, the big boss dog, Stephen Davies, $13,000, $893.84. So again, probably missing some people, might not be some completely accurate representation there, but just make sure we're submitting those numbers and we'll get that higher next week, I'm sure. So switching over to the recruiting side, we'll start with a completed fast track. We got a four-way tie for number 3. Kristen Landry, Noah Wilson, Misha Marsh, and Tinian DeCarlo, all with 1 completed fast track last week. The Base Shop here, number 2, with 3 fast tracks, and Brandon and Ashley Beal with 6 completed fast tracks. Then completed contracts for last week. We have Mark Hutcheson, Misha Marsh, and Noel Wilson in 3-way tie with 1 completed contract last week. The Base Shop, we had 2 completed contracts last week. And of course, Brandon and Ashley Bill leading the way, 3 completed contracts. And then enrollees, we have a 2-way tie at number 4. Sean Quigley and Jeremy Co. Edwards had 1 enrollee each last week. Brandon and Ashley coming in at number 3 had 2 enrollees in licensing. Rogers and Stoddard had 3 enrollees, and here at the Base Shop we had 5 enrollees in licensing last week. So that is that for the numbers. So now I am going to turn it over to Mr. Mark Hutcheson. I hope he is here because he's got some gems to share with you guys, and I'm going to mute out and listen in just like you guys. Mark, you there?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
Good to see you. Hey, let me kill one of these lights, see if we can get a little better view.
That's good.
It's kind of dark and dreary up here, up on the ridge. But as long as the internet service is good, we're going to be all right. So basically, what Stephen asked me to do was just kind of walk through the sales process of what occurs when you're sitting in a home, and how to be most effective in helping people. One of the things I love about, what we do here at the Alliance is our slogan, our motto is have fun, make money, make a difference. And so that's one of the things that we're, one of the things that involves 3 things that we've gotten really good at. In the insurance industry in general, it can kind of get a bad rap. Just like, kind of like you think of used car salesmen. Used car salesmen get a bad rap because, people think you're just out to flip junk and make money off of it. And there are agents out there that their number one goal is just to make money. That's it. And they're willing to sacrifice morals. They're willing to sacrifice character and integrity, just to go out and make money. And that's one of the things that, I was always opposed to was I'm not willing to make the sacrifice of characters and character, integrity, and morals just to go out and make a few extra bucks. So I was able to, find the Alliance and find a company that does it the right way. And I'm grateful for that. Just what I'm going to do right here over the next few minutes, this call is probably going to end up just a little bit shorter than normal. I got a very, very packed day today. But one of the things I want to do is just kind of walk through what happens from the time I get to the home, in the home, what that process looks like. So you can see, here's what I do every single time. And it's not rocket science. Most of it that you're going to hear me say today is stuff that you'll have heard, on any of these calls that we've done year after year, over and over. It's not just from me. It's from people like, Evan Patzer, Billy Crane, people that have been successful in the sales side of things, in the production. Those are the ones that are going to be most effective. Those are the ones that are going to take what they've learned and turn around and teach it to others. And so when you hear a lot of the things that are similar over and over and over again, it's because we're all learning and doing the same thing. It's one of the things about our system that we teach is you got to be able to duplicate it. You don't have to have my personality. You don't have to have, my sense of humor. You don't have to have my, obnoxiously good looks. You don't, just kidding. You don't have to have any of that. But what you do have to do is be able to say, hey, here's a system in place that I can take, that I can learn how to duplicate it, and follow a system that's proven to work over and over. So from the very beginning, that was just my mindset was, I don't have to go figure this out. I don't have to go reinvent the wheel. All I have to do is say, hey, teach me how to do this, show me, and I'll go do it. I'll make it work. And when you take what you're taught and you couple that with insane activity, that's how you get really good. That's how you start climbing the leaderboards and putting a lot of money in your bank account. So basically like I said, what I want to do here is just start kind of at the very beginning of what this looks like from the time I've booked the appointment and I'm in my car running appointments. At the end of the day, you have to be able to show people that you're different than anybody else out there. You're different than anybody else out there. So A lot of times when people say, well, I got to think about it, I'm not sure, just, we'll get back in touch with you. Can you leave us a business card? I'll be honest with you, you were not different than every other insurance agent out there. And we're in an industry where people are literally getting bombarded every single day, every single week, over and over with final expense benefits, life insurance, mortgage protection. Like, people are constantly getting hammered with these different letters, these different cards that just sit there and say, hey, you need this, you need this, you need this. And they're coming from every opposite or every other direction out there, not just our company, but all these other companies out there. So at the end of the day, we have to show people how we're different. So from the time that client responds to us and you book the appointment, you need to be able to let people see, hey, I'm different. Here's what's different about me. And we teach on the phone script how to sound different, how to not sound like a salesperson, how to handle objections on the phone script. Okay. That's not the purpose of this call today, to talk about the phone script. The purpose of this call is to say, hey, now that the appointment is booked, I've already sounded somewhat different from everybody else because I got the appointment. Now that the appointment is booked, what happens from the time I go in the home? So, boom, you get to the house. I this kind of goes without being said, but look professional. Look professional. It doesn't mean you have to have a suit and tie on. It doesn't mean you have to have a pantsuit on. Look professional, but keep in mind, people are looking for people like them. Why? Because we're attracted to people that are similar to us. So if you've got somebody that, when a client sees, here's somebody that's like me, they look like an average everyday person like me, then they feel a lot more comfortable already. So when you, what I do as a guy, when I go out and I run appointments, I wear a nice polo shirt, or a nice, pullover, I do have a couple pullover jacket like things that have a Mutual of Omaha logo or a Alliance logo. Um, and I wear nice jeans. In the summer times, here in South Carolina, it gets hot, it gets muggy. Um, I will wear in 80, 70, 80, 90-degree weather, I'll wear some nice shorts, not baggy, wrinkled cargo shorts with, 15 pockets on each leg. And, I'm professional, I'm sharp, but I also know, or I'm also showing to these people that I'm relatable. Um, and so from the time you get in front of people, and again, like I said, part of this goes back to the phone call being different, but from the time you have that visual connection with somebody that shows that you're different, um, immediately people are forming opinions about you. So what you got to know is, from the time people see you get out of the car, they are observing, if they happen to see you pull up, they are observing the way you carry yourself, the way you handle yourself, the way you're dressed, the way you look. And they're already forming opinions about you. If they don't see you getting out of your car, they're forming those opinions from the time that they open up the door and see you standing there. So you've got to be presentable. Make sure that you don't have these wrinkly old clothes on that don't fit right. The other aspect of that too is, and you've heard Stephen talk about this a lot, the way you dress shows how you feel about yourself. And how you feel about yourself shows whether you're confident enough to help people get the coverage that they need. So I remember when I first started and I ran some appointments, and I was like, man, some of these homes I'm sitting in, like, God bless, you want to burn the clothes when you get out of the home. And so for a little bit there at the very beginning, I was like, you know what? I don't really care about that shirt. I don't really care about those pants. I'm going to go ahead and wear those. That way, when I sit in some of these homes, and if y'all run business, you know what some of these homes I'm talking about is. Um, but when you're sitting there, I would be like, okay, I'm going to wear these clothes because I don't really care for them as much. But what I found out was, if that's my attitude and the way I dress and present myself, that's how I feel about myself, and how I feel about myself emanates to other people, and they can pick up on it. So when you want people to follow your leadership, follow your confidence, follow your ability to go out and help them see, hey, I've got the resources to help you, you need to play the part in how you dress and how you feel about yourself. I tell agents all the time, if you're uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable, and they can sense that you are, and it makes it that much worse. So, So again, I know a lot of this stuff kind of sounds basic, but at the end of the day, you've got to understand that these things, as basic and as subtle as they may seem, culminated together, have a lasting impact on your ability to go out and be effective and do what we do. It's kind of like with so most of y'all know how our products work. Simplified issue, our non-medical products. It's like you've got different conditions, like maybe type 2 diabetes, somebody that's overweight. Their build charts on the high end. They got blood pressure. They've got pain medicine. You've got all these different things that one or two of those conditions by themselves may not be a problem. But when you find that person that has like 7 or 8 of those conditions, and the underwriter says, hey, if it was just 2 or 3 or even 4 of those, we would be okay. But they've got 7 or 8 of them, and now they're just presenting to us as a bigger risk, so we can't fit them in that product. It's kind of the same concept when you're running appointments and booking your phone, booking your appointments. How you feel about yourself, the way you dress, your mentality. Did you read earlier that day? Did you put positivity in your mind, or were you in an argument with your spouse as you were walking out the door to go run appointments? All that kind of stuff factors into somebody's persona and the way they carry themselves and the way they feel about themselves. So um, don't overlook the basic subtle things and think, well, I can skip out on that, it's not a big deal. All those things are important in the way you go out and you run your appointments. So at the end of the day, when I'm there, like I said, I'm dressed right, I feel right, my teeth are brushed, I've used a mint or a piece of gum or something to keep my breath fresh. Y'all know there's nothing worse than talking to somebody whose breath stinks. And if their breath stinks, you're kind of like backing up, like trying to slide away. Yeah. And then they keep coming at you like, yeah. And so then we went and then, and it's like, dude, you know how offensive that is. And the last thing you want is to get away from there. Well, if you don't take care of your breath when you're sitting in appointments right around the corner of a table from somebody, I'm just telling you, it ain't going to go so well for you. You'll get the fastest let me think about it that you ever got. Again, sounds basic, but it's those little things that sit there and culminated together, help you become more effective as somebody that those people like and trust. Because at the end of the day, they got to like you and they got to trust you. Why? Because people do business with people that they like and they trust. So you're sitting in the home, or I mean, you get to the home, they answer the door, smile on your face, firm handshake. COVID, adjust a little bit, obviously. But you got a smile on your face, a firm handshake. The first thing I do when I walk into the home is I compliment something about the house for 2 reasons. One, to let them know that I value what they value, but number 2, it just helps with it helps me look for something positive. It helps me just be in the subtle habit of finding something positive, no matter the situation, no matter the location. So I compliment something about the house. Usually it's, hey, I like this open floor plan. Some houses you walk in, you got to get a map at the beginning to figure out which way to go. But I like this open floor plan. Everything's spacious. Something small. I just compliment it. I'm immediately putting them, making them feel comfortable in their own home, in their own setting. So I compliment them something about the house. I'll see pictures on the wall. Oh, is that your family? Is that your grandkids? How many grandkids you got? And I'm just small talking. I'm building that rapport. I'm building that likability. I'm not making stuff up. I'm not lying to them. I'm being genuine. I'm being real with them. I'm not just launching into, hey, let's go sit down at the table and see what this is all about. I don't do that. It's sitting there, building that rapport, building that trust. Why? Because people do business with people that they like and they trust. And the more you compliment them, the more you make them feel better about themselves, the more they're going to like you and trust you. People's number one topic of conversation that they absolutely love is themselves. You know it, I know it. Their number one topic of conversation that they absolutely love is themselves. And if you can get them to feel good about themselves, if you can get them to, feel like they're valuable, like what they've done in life, what they've acquired, that it's important, that it's something that you can appreciate and value, the more that they adapt to that, the more that they adapt to you, the more that they appreciate you, because you're taking the time to build value for them and show them that they are valued, or that what they have is valued. A lot of people will go through weeks and months without having anybody sit there and compliment them or help them feel better about themselves. At the end of the day, if they like you and they trust you, they're going to let you help them. That's it. That's what sales is. Sales is, do they like me and they trust me? Now, some of you may be thinking, well, I'm so nervous when I go in. Like, this is new to me. I've never done this before. I've never done sales before. I'm nervous. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I mess up? Your likability and your trustworthiness will give you a lot of flexibility and leeway when you make mistakes. Because at the end of the day, if people know that you're likable and that you're trustworthy, they'll give you the leeway that you need to be able to fumble through and help them get the coverage in place that they need. Especially if you've got an agent, upline manager, an upline agent that you have access to while you're in the home. Sometimes people, agents will ask me, well, if I call you while I'm in the home, won't the client think that I don't know what I'm talking about, or that that I don't know what I'm doing or whatever? And the answer is no, absolutely not. I mean, if anything, it builds that trust for them. It builds that likability that, hey, here's somebody trying to help me, and they're they're obviously kind of new to this, but they're reaching out to make sure that they're doing what's best for me. People appreciate that. People trust you even more because they know you're not sitting here trying to come in here and spend something on them. So building that rapport is foundational. You say, well, how long does it take to build the rapport? Great question. As long as it takes. And not to sound like a cliche, but legitimately as long as it takes. People need to know that that they can like you and they trust you. They can't just sit there and feel like, hey, he's just doing everything the same way, kind of like just a method or routine. He did his 10-minute rapport building check and wrote me off and he's on to the next thing. Like, they don't need to feel processed. They need to feel valued. They need to feel like they're important. So it all depends on, if you may have somebody that's a little bit closed off. We all know what that's like, when it's like, man, I'm asking all these questions and I'm getting these one-word responses, and it's like, yeah, I don't know that this is going so well. But the more you can take the time to, remember, get them to talk about themselves, get them to open up about themselves, the more you do that. It may take some more extra time to crack somebody than it does others, but it all goes back to there's that sweet spot of, okay, they like me, they trust me, now it's time to get to why we're here. You hear us talk about that window of building that rapport. There's that window. In that window, if you're too short and you don't get to that window, then they don't like you, they don't trust you. It's just going to be a let me think about it. If you take that window too far, or if you go way past that window, then they feel like they're so close and connected to you and like you're their best friend that they've known all their lives. And it's easier for them at that point to tell you, you know what, we're good, or let us think about it, or hey, we'll get back to you on that one. So you got to find that window of the rapport and the likability, the trust is there, but they're not too comfortable with me to where they can just kind of brush me off and be like, okay, yeah, we're buddies. We can always have them over anytime and get this taken care of, if that makes sense. And it's different for everybody. It's different for each scenario. So building the rapport, building that likability, building that trust is absolutely essential to be able to go out and do this business effectively. Absolutely essential. So once you've done that and you feel like, hey, that rapport, that likability is there, then it's actually time to move on to the purpose of why you're there in the first place. And so what I do in that case is I get my lead out and I slide the lead across to them. I let them see, hey, here's the lead. Here's what you sent into us. This is your signature, right? Yep. Let me ask you this. When you filled this out, when you read this, took the time to fill it out and put this back in the mailbox to send to us, What was the primary concern going through your mind that prompted you to take the time to do this? Like, I'm almost treating it as if, I want them to know that I'm acknowledging this thing. Actually, there was a thought process that went into this. It wasn't just, oh yeah, there's another card. It says fill out name, sign it, send it in. All right, cool. Let's see what I get. No, they actually took the time to read through it, see what it was about. Bingo, need something like this. Um, let me get my information down on this form. Let me walk it to the mailbox and put it in the mailbox because I got to get this information. I need to know how this can help protect my family. Like, this is a process that they went through. This isn't just slinging a name down and sending it off because they want some more free mail. Um, so I'm acknowledging, hey, what was the process going through your mind that prompted you to be like, I need this coverage, I want this, I'm going to take the time and the effort to fill this out and send it back in most cases, the answer that you will get back is, well, if something happens to me, I want her taken care of, or I want him taken care, or I want the kids taken care of. And it's kind of like a vague, well, it just like they think they're going to say what everybody's supposed to say. First off, it's not if something happens, it's when something happens. We know they're going to die. They're going to die. And so the mistake that a lot of agents make, especially new agents, is okay, cool. Well, let's see how we can help you with that. And then they want to launch right into, hey, let's look at your medicines, like let's look at this product, let's look at these numbers, and then go into a sales process. And you can't do that. If the why is not big enough, people will not act. If it's important enough, if the why is big enough, then people will act and they'll do something about it. It's not your job to make it important to somebody, but it is your job to help them see why it's so important. That's what we call building the why. So in order to do that, you hear us say it's kind of like peeling back an onion. You can't just sit there and accept their first answer and move on. You have to help them paint the picture of what it looks like if this is not taken care of. And as you do that, that why gets bigger. It becomes more crystal clear right in front of them. So um, helping them build the why is done through asking questions. So when somebody says, well, if something were to happen to me, I want to make sure my family's taken care of. I'm like, gotcha. I said, that makes a lot of sense. First off, it's, we know it's when something happens, right? Because we know we're all going to pass away. So it's when something happens. We just don't know if it's tomorrow or 35 years from now. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. Like, we know this is going to protect your family. We just don't know if it's going to be sooner or later, but it will take care of your family. And you may say, well, you're splitting hairs. No, I'm helping them see, like, this isn't just a if, this is a reality. This is going to be the difference maker for their family. And then I'll say, hey, help me understand what that looks like if you don't have this taken care of. If God forbid, boom, you drop dead before we finish talking, what does that look like for your family? Help me understand that. What does that look? What kind of situation does that put your family in? And I'll start asking them, like, for instance, on a mortgage lead, I'll start asking them, I'll look at the wife and I'll say, Mary, you just heard John say he wants to make sure that y'all are taken care of. Help me understand what that would look like for you and the kids if John doesn't come home from work tomorrow. I was on my way here today and coming down the interstate there's signs hanging over the interstate here in South Carolina that say, hey, there's been, well, we're in 2021, but let's just say you're a few months into the year and you're like, I'm seeing signs on the interstate saying that 462 people have died in traffic accidents on South Carolina highways this year. 462. We're 40 days into the month. That's an average of 10 people a day here in South Carolina alone that are driving on South Carolina highways and being in a car accident and passing away. God forbid if that happened to John tomorrow and he was one of those 10, what kind of situation does that put you and the kids in? And it gets really quiet. Now, the problem is when it gets really quiet, a lot of people get uncomfortable. You as the agent can't get uncomfortable. You got to learn to be You got to learn to be comfortable with that feeling of discomfort. Because it gets real quiet, and the natural response is, I want to keep the conversation going so it doesn't feel so awkward. They need to feel that awkwardness. Like, she needs to be like, well, crap. And I'll say, hey, listen, here's the deal. It's 6:30 right now. It's dinner time. You realize that in 10 families right now here in South Carolina, right now, as we're talking about this, there are 10 families, an average of 10 families that are waiting for the dad or the husband or the wife to come home from work, and they still haven't heard from them. And they're starting to get a little worried. And according to the statistics that we've talked about, here in another 30 minutes, hour, 2 hours tops, they're either going to be getting a phone call or a knock on the door from the South Carolina Highway Patrol, letting them know that that husband is not coming home from work anymore. And if, God forbid, that's you and John's situation tomorrow, what does that look like for you and the kids? I have had women come to tears right then and there. And some of you might be like, dadgum, I got goosebumps on my arms. When you get to that point with somebody in the home, it's a done deal. It is a done deal. The beauty of it is you're the one that can help them get to that point. Because what they need to know is, hey, I can't control if he doesn't come home from work tomorrow, but we can control that me and the kids are taken care of if that scenario plays out. Because the reality is it's playing out tomorrow. It's playing out right now as we're talking about this. It just hasn't happened to my family yet. And that's how I build the value, the why on the mortgage leads. For the final expense ones, it's, hey, that scenario plays out and you drop dead before we finish talking, or you go to sleep tonight and you don't wake up and we didn't have this taken care of. Who is the one responsible to take care of all your financial obligations, final expense costs? Who does that? Who takes care of all that? Well, I guess my daughter would have to, or my wife would. Okay. And then I'll say, do they have $15,000, $20,000 sitting in a bank account or sitting in a coffee can somewhere, just waiting for you to pass so that they can just give it to the insurance or give it to the funeral home and cover your burial expenses? Well, no. Okay, so help me understand, what does that look like? If you don't have this taken care of today and you don't wake up tomorrow, what do they have to do? Do they have to go to the members at the church and organize a car wash or a pie bake or a fish fry or something to raise money? Do they have to go to other family members and say, hey, we didn't have this in place. John passed away last night. I don't have the money to bury him and I don't know what to do. Or worse, do you have to go to the bank and ask for a loan so that you can put your husband in the ground? And then every time you make that monthly payment back to the bank for the next 5 years, you're just reliving that fact over and over and over again, that this money's going back to the bank to pay for something that we had to do unexpectedly because we didn't have this in place. Like, it is your responsibility to help build the why, to help show the value of why we do what we do. This isn't just about, well, it'd be good to have insurance to protect the family. This is life-changing stuff that will determine whether somebody makes that transition when they lose a loved one, if that transition is as smooth as possible so that they can focus on celebrating the life of that individual, celebrating what they meant to the family, taking that time to grieve and to grieve properly without having any extra financial burden or stress or, this just caught us all off guard and we had to go figure out where the money was coming from, and just nobody ever ought to have to deal with that. Nobody. And that's why it's your job to help people see the value of what we do and help build that value for them. So the only decision they have after talking to you is, how do we get this taken care of? What do we do next? I could literally spend 2 or 3 hours training on that alone, on building the value, building the why. But for sake of time, I want to move on to the next part where people often come back with, well, I've got life insurance in place. I've already got something like that to cover that. I need this for this. And what you do is just like you do with phone objections, you agree with them. Oh, I get it. That makes sense. Awesome. I'm glad you have that taken care of. Tell you what, go grab that real quick. We do need to look at it to make sure there's no surprises in it for you. And the Department of Insurance here in South Carolina actually will not let me make recommendations to you without knowing what you have, because the reality is you may not even need this. And the last thing I want to do is try and help you get more insurance that you don't even need. So go grab those policies real quick. Hey, where's your restroom at? I've been drinking coffee and water all morning. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick while you're grabbing those policies. Notice I didn't say, hey, would you mind going and getting your policies pretty please? I didn't say, hey, you know what? Uh, we should probably look at that because sometimes people don't have what they think they have. So I think it'd be a good idea. No, you're just very simple. Hey, listen, why don't you go grab those policies real quick? Tell you what, I'm gonna use the restroom if you don't mind. I've been drinking coffee and water all day. I'll meet you back here and we'll go over those real quick, make sure there's no surprises in it for you, and make sure that you really do need this. Have that sense of confidence that, hey, this is what has to happen. This is what we have to do. Because I'm telling you right now, think about this. Because people ask me all the time, well, how do you get somebody to get their policies? Tell them to go get their policies. Yeah, but what if they don't want to? Then they don't like you. They don't trust you. No, but like they like me. Like I know they do, but they wouldn't. No, they don't like you. They don't like you. They don't trust you. If they don't like you and trust you, they're not going to do what you tell them to do or ask them to do. And here's the deal. Let me say it this way. Easily over 95% of people that have some sort of life insurance already, over 95% of them do not know exactly what they have, or what they think they have. It's different than what they think they have. And it is absolutely essential for you as the agent, as the life insurance person, to make sure they know what they have at that moment. Otherwise, you're just as guilty of them if they don't get coverage and something happens to them and they ended up dying and not having that coverage in place. Well, that's not on me. They didn't want to get it because they didn't like you. They didn't trust you. Too many people are dying without coverage or losing their coverage in their later years because they had some sort of crappy insurance and they didn't know the limitations on it. I can't tell you how many times I've sat with somebody, yeah, just my mom died last year. Insurance company screwed her over. Oh, they did they? Yeah, screwed her over. They didn't pay out. Why didn't they pay out? I don't know. She had this policy, but they didn't pay out. In most of those cases, the client had taken out coverage with that company in the past and then either switched it over or the policy expired or they quit making payments on it and it lapsed. Well, they still got the paperwork. Son or daughter come in and see the paperwork. Oh, mom has paperwork. She had to have insurance with them. Call the company. No, her policy lapsed. She didn't have insurance with us. Well, of course, mom's getting screwed, right? They think the insurance company's out to do mom wrong, and they're not. The reality is that client either didn't know what they have and the policy lapsed, expired, whatever, and nobody was there to follow up with them. And that's why it's so essential that you know what these people have. And then as you become their agent, they know that they can trust you to make sure that they're taken care of all the way through to paying out the death claim. Again, this is another topic in and of itself that I could literally harp on for hours. You have to find out what people have. Let me give you a quick example. Last week, I called a lead, final expense lead on an 82-year-old lady. The natural thought for an insurance agent as he's calling through leads and sees a lead for an 82-year-old person, the natural thought is they're old, it's going to be way too expensive, they probably already have something. Man, I'm not going to get my money's worth on this one. That's a broke negative mindset. Call it. So I did. I called it, booked the appointment with her. She said, I live here with my daughter, blah, blah, blah. I said, cool. If your daughter's there, that's actually going to be even better. But I'll see you tomorrow. Book the appointment, go out and run it, get to talking to her, built that rapport. And she actually did give me a little bit of pushback when it came time to, hey, go get, I need you to go grab the policy real quick. Cause she told me, she's like, I got life insurance, but when I die, I want to get shipped back to Ohio and buried in Ohio. And what I have isn't going to cover all that. So I'm looking for more coverage. I said, hey, awesome. Go grab the policies. Let's see exactly what you have. Make sure there's no surprises. Reality is it may be enough. Um, and she was like, well, I have those policies. I have that policy with an agent that I trust and a guy back home in Ohio. Like, I'm good there. I just need to get some extra. I said, listen, I hear you. He may be the most nicest, awesome guy out there. I'm not knocking that. But what I can tell you is this, I promise you this. I can't sit here and or give you recommendations for something you should have or that you need to get if I don't know what you have. I'm an insurance guy. This is what I do. I've been doing it for 10 years, and every few months, couple years, I have to pull my own policies out on me and my family to see what we have, because sometimes I know what it's like to forget. And even more so, people that aren't insurance agents, aren't the experts, think they know what they have from a conversation they had with somebody 20 years ago when they took it out. So I'm not doubting you, but what I am saying is we need to make sure that there's no surprises in there for you. And if there's not, I'm going to be the first person to tell you to keep what you got, because my job is not to sell you anything. So, and finally she went up and she got it. Well, guess what? She comes back with a variable annuity that the current account value is at $21,000. A variable annuity. And if y'all know what variable annuities do, when the market tanks, they can tank. We have no idea what's going to happen to this economy over the next few months. And if the market tanks, what she has in that variable annuity can lose. And here she all along thought it was life insurance. Well, long story short, her daughter comes in about that point. I said, Barb, here's what we're looking at. Here's what's going on with your mom. Here's why I'm here. Here's what I'm finding out. Yada, yada, yada. And Barb looks at her mom and says, Mom, don't you have a life insurance policy that you're actually paying on? And her mom's like, no, I don't think so. And I said, hey, Elaine, go ahead and grab your bank statement. It doesn't have to be last month's, but grab a bank statement and let's just double check and make sure there's not drafts coming out for life insurance that you don't know of. Again, if we find one and then we look at it and find out it's good coverage, I'm going to be the first person today to keep it. And then you and your daughter Barb can have peace of mind knowing, hey, this is already taken care of and you don't got to worry about sending any more of these forms in. So she goes and gets a bank statement. Sure enough, the very first draft coming out of that monthly bank statement was from American General. And I said, Elaine, this is a draft for a life insurance policy. You're paying $126 a month for this life insurance policy. Are you aware of that? Well, no, I forgot. And Barb's like, we don't have any policies. What do we do? I said, no worries. We're going to give them a quick call. We called American General. It's a 15-year term, $50,000 policy that she took out when she was 70. At 85, remember, she's 82. At 85, that policy's gone. No more coverage. By the way, she's healthy, super healthy, no health issues. Statistically, she's going to live past 85. So now I'm having to show them, hey, this policy's great if you die in the next 3 years. And if you can guarantee to me that you're going to die in the next 3 years, then keep this policy and don't let anybody take it away from you. I'm done here. Are you going to die in the next 3 years? Can you guarantee that to me? Well, no, I can't. Right. What does that mean? It means we got to do something. She had no idea. If you sit there and take her word for it that she's got insurance and she just needs an extra $10,000 to get her back to Ohio, and you sit there and try and sell her a $10,000 policy without knowing what she has, you are doing her and yourself and the rest of the insurance industry a severe disjustice. You're guilty. You are 100% guilty with just trying to make a sale because of what a client told you they had. You said, Mark, no, that's strong. Like, I don't want to bother people. Exactly. And when you don't bother people, they die on you without insurance and their family's screwed. And you're guilty. And I will argue that with you all day long because you're not doing it right. Well, I didn't know to do that. You do now. You're guilty. All right. If you haven't been doing that, do it. People are like, how do you write so much premium? I take the premium people are already paying on current life insurance. That's a bunch of crap. And I get them better policies that are going to be there for the rest of their life. That's how I write premium. When you go into a home and someone's got 4 different policies, 3,000 on this one, 5,000 on this one, 2,000 on this one, 10,000 on this one, from 4 different agents, what does that tell you? 4 different agents. There we go. 4 different agents aren't doing their job right, and they suck, and they ought to be out of the industry. because they don't care enough to make sure that that person's taken care of. Here's the deal, guys. When I see this 82-year-old lady sitting there not having a clue what in the heck she was paying on, I see my 71-year-old mom sitting there. And do I want an insurance agent coming in trying to sell her an extra policy? Or do I want a insurance agent that gives a crap about her and her situation enough to get uncomfortable to help her see why we need to look at what she has? And the end result of all of that was we got rid of the American General policy. We stopped the payment on it. She's not wasting $126 a month on $50,000 in coverage that's going away. And we got her $30,000 in permanent whole life coverage for Mutual of Omaha for $335 a month. That's already been approved and issued. And guess who thinks that I'm their you-know-what hero right now? Because tomorrow I'm going back and I'm sitting with Barb, the daughter, who's got coverage and has no idea what all she has, and we're sorting through her situation. How do you write so much premium? Because I give a damn. I care about these people, and I'll do what's right by them, and I'll treat them like it was my own family. That's how I write so much premium. That $450,000 in annual premium that I wrote last year was off of a day and a half a week average for the entire year. It's not because Mark's special. It's not because Mark's gifted. It's not because Mark's just this God's gift to insurance. It's because Mark gives a freaking damn about people, and he's going to do what it takes and do it the right way, even if it means getting uncomfortable. And he does it over and over and over and over again. And the weeks he goes out and he writes 15, 20,000 in a week, he picks up the phone and does it again next week because there's people that need help next week. He doesn't sit there and say, whoo, just put 20 grand in the bank account. I think I'm going to clock out for the rest of the month. You clock out and people die without coverage. This ain't a business you can clock out. The beautiful thing about this business is when life does happen, for instance, having a preemie baby born 3.5 weeks early, I don't have the stress and the pressure of, all right, babe, you got this 2-day-old baby at the house. You good? Because I got to go write business because I got to make money. No, we preach that there's the flexibility of this business, and I love it. But I cannot afford to just kick back and be like, I had a great week, a great month. I'm going to take a month off. People need help. You got to treat it like it's a job. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get at doing it, the more confident you get. And people love to follow confidence. People follow confident people. People follow people that know what they're doing. It's like, for instance, if you come on this bad accident while you're driving down the highway, but not like an interstate, but like just this local road that you have in your county or whatever, and you come across this bad accident and you see there's like 10 cars in front of you that have all stopped because there's a bad accident that you can't get around. So what do? Well, you see like the second car in line backs up a little bit, noses out of line, and goes down a side street. Well, what happens then? Another car behind him gets out and goes down that same side street. Boom, then another one. Next thing you know, all the cars in line in front of you are getting out of line and going down that side street. Why? Well, that guy's going. He knows where he's going. He's getting around this mess. I got to get around this mess. I'm going to follow him. People love to follow people that are confident, or as people, our human nature is to follow people that are confident. It's like, so when I see, for instance, in this whole sales product, this whole training, dude, Hutch is confident. He knows what he's talking about. Yeah, because I've done it over and over, and I've seen the situations where I messed up in the beginning and I didn't get people to get their policies, and they ended up passing away and didn't have the good coverage in place that they needed or that I could have helped them with. Like that was on me. And I'm passionate about it because I don't want people to go through those same mistakes. I don't like seeing agents go into a home and just throwing another $5,000 policy at somebody because they said they needed it. You have to be so confident that when somebody tells you, don't worry about that coverage, I'm not interested in what's going on with that. That's not why I have you here. I need you to help me with this. If you sit there and transition right into trying to help them with this, with new rates, new quotes, they just told you they weren't getting their policy. They're in control. They own that conversation. They own that appointment. They're in control. What makes you think that they're going to flip a switch and be like, oh, you said we need to fill out an application now. Okay, let's do it. They're not going to, because they're in control. They're the one that's dictating what happens. And I kid you not, there have been times where I had to have the stones to sit up there and say, you're not going to get that policy. It sounds to me like you want an insurance salesman. You just want somebody to come in to sell you another insurance policy. That's not what I do. You need to go find an insurance salesman. I've got families that need help, want help, and I've got the resources to help them. I'm going to help those people. And get up and walk out. Well, you're not making the sale. Exactly. And you sit there and listen to them and bow to them and do what they tell you to do and how they're going to run the show. You're not going to make the sale. So don't waste their time and your time. You got to be different. People have to know that you genuinely care. You can be strong, you can lead, you can be tough, and people know you care. There's not one person sitting on here that's been watching and listening to me and say, that I would never say that. That guy doesn't care. No. You said some strong words. You come across with a very strong tone. Yeah, because I care, because I give a crap. And you need to do that too. Well, that's not my personality. Fair enough, but care. Care enough to get uncomfortable to help people. Like, there's nothing better than finding out somebody's paying 100, 200 bucks a month on coverage that you can improve their situation. Guess what? That's 100, 200 bucks a month that you just got in premium. But if you don't take the time to find that out and they say, well, I've already got coverage in place, I just need this, and you're trying to throw a little $10,000 policy at them for 45 bucks a month, and then, oh, they say, let me think about it, because they're already spending 150, 200 a month, and you think, well, I gave them my business card and they really like me, like they're going to call me back. I hate to break it to you. They ain't calling you back. They're not, because they don't need another 45 bucks a month policy coming out of their bank account, especially when they don't even know what they have in the first place. So you have to get people to go get their policies. Well, what if they can't find it? What if they don't have it? I say this in every home I get that. When they say, well, I don't know where it is, like I couldn't put my hands on it right away. If I'd have known you needed that, I'd have had it out. Listen, not a problem. Hey, let me ask you this. If the house was burning down right now and you had to grab your insurance policy and get out the door, where's the first place that you would go to look for it? And have them start there. At the end of the day, if they go look, they can't find it, whatever, have them get a bank statement that shows who is drafting their bank account, and Google that insurance company's phone number and call them, and the insurance company will tell you right there on the phone what that client has. With that client's permission, they'll tell you right there what that client's paying on. So I just simply say, hey, awesome, don't worry. You've spent some time looking for it. You can't find it. Tell you what, grab a bank statement. Don't have to be the last one, but a recent one. Let's see who's drafting your account, and we'll call them up real quick. They'll tell us, and you don't have to worry about trying to dig that up. Go grab a bank statement real quick. Guys, you have to know what people are paying on before you can just go start showing them options or trying to help them with coverage. You want to be an insurance salesman that struggles to make 50 grand a year? Or do you want to be somebody that really cares about people, that's really doing what's best for people and making 400,000 or 500,000 a year just on your own sales, on your own pen, because you took the time to dig a little deeper, to get a little more uncomfortable, to help people see? Like, here's the deal. What if I never had that lady get that policy last week? How does that situation end up? She might have taken out another $10,000. She might have. And in her mind felt like, okay, good. Now I've got 20,000 with my old life insurance policy that she had no idea what it is. And now I've got $10,000. Now I can get shipped back to Ohio. And then boom, the market falls out over the next 8 months. Her $21,000 variable annuity drops down to 8 grand. And then she has a massive stroke and dies. And now her daughter's like, wait a minute, where's this $30,000 in life insurance that she had? Well, she didn't have 30,000. Like, I cannot stress enough to you how important it is for you to know what people are paying on before you sit there and try and help them with something else. It is your fiduciary responsibility to do that for that client. It is your It is your obligation. It is your debt to that client to do what's right by them and find out what they're paying on. And I 100% say that with absolute conviction, because if you don't know what they have, they sure as hell don't know what they have. And that's on you. At the end of the day, you help them find out what they're paying on, and it's what's best for them, and they realize that they don't need anything else. Dude, set up an emergency response network for them, an emergency response system, because no other agent's ever done that for them. Set that up, call through it, help their family get coverage in place. The fact that you take the time to help them find out what's best for them, and then you're straight up with them that this is what's best. By the way, that is so very small chance that that happens. 95% of the cases that I sit with that people have coverage that we're paying on, almost 9 out of 10 times we're improving their situation. 9 out of 10 times we're getting better, we're getting them better coverage in place. But the one chance, the 1 out of 10 that they don't have what's best, and now I've told them, hey, look, I'm not selling you anything. You don't need this. What you have right here is what's best for you. Unless you're just dead set sold on getting extra coverage, this right here is what's best for you. Don't let anybody touch it or take it away from you. Hang on to this. This is good coverage. You think that person doesn't just, like your likability and trustworthiness with them just went boom? 100%. 100%. When you've got the integrity to stand up and tell them, hey, this is what you need to hang on to, this is good coverage, they're going to refer their friends and family to you, even though you weren't able to help them with a sale right then and there. And I'm just telling you guys, we're wrapping down at the end of this call, and we haven't even gotten into the whole, like the purpose of this call was not, well, which product works best, like how do you determine whether to go with term or find. There's tons of calls out there on NAA University, more training that's going to be done on that kind of stuff. What I want people to realize when people say, how do you write so much business and you're not out there 4 or 5 days a week trying to sell insurance, it's because I care, and because I care enough to get uncomfortable and helping people realize what they do or do not have. And I'm telling you right now, take it from somebody that's been doing this for 10 years, people don't know what they have, and what people think they have is way different than what they have in almost every single case. 100%. People think they have this and they have this, and it's way different than what they thought. And when you come in and you take the time to help them see that, and I'll straight up tell people, I'll be like, hey, you remember 45 minutes ago when you didn't want to go get this policy? You remember that? You remember when you gave me a little pushback? This is why we had to do that. This is why you needed to see this. And I've never had somebody say, dadgummit, you made me get my policy for nothing. No, they've always been like, thank you, thank you. I had no idea. And I'm like, well, good news is you're normal, because I hear that all the time. But now it makes sense why I had you get this. You see that? And now you can put your head on the pillow at night knowing this is what we've done, this is what we've taken care of, and you don't have to worry about what if that policy from 15 years ago, is it going to take care of everything? Are my kids, is my family going to be okay? So guys, I know we didn't like go through the whole sales process, but in all honesty, those couple things that we've hit on over the last 45 minutes are the two most critical things, in my opinion, to the sales process in being effective at helping more people, which ultimately is going to put more money in your bank account. It's one, building that building that trust and that likability. And number two, building the why, building the value. And part of building that value is helping people see what they have versus what they think they have. If people like you and they trust you, and the why is big enough, you've helped them with the why to be big enough, they're going to let you help them all day, every day, 100% of the time. So guys, I hope that helps. Omar, Chandler, I don't know if y'all got any closing things y'all need to say or announcements, but hope that helps. And guys, I'm here to help any way I can. If you don't, somebody that you know has my contact information, I'll be happy to help any way I can.
No, thank you, Mark. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on and equipping the team. We got a lot of newer agents on here I'm seeing from the list. So guys, that's it, right? You've heard me say some of these things before, but you have now been equipped. Top producer like in the country right there, right? Coming on and giving you gems. I've got my notebook. I'm scribbling things. I'm taking notes. So I'm going to make this neater and distribute that out to some of my people as well. But this is it, right? So Mark just gave you the blueprint of how to do this every single sale. So, and you can look on the numbers. We get them every week. These names I read off, they are doing the things that Mark's talking about. The only difference between the people who aren't on the list are the people who aren't doing that consistently each week. So if you do that and commit to the things that Mark was just laying out to you, you're going to be on this list every single week. And that's what we want. We want to see you guys grow. I'm here at the office to support you guys. Obviously, Stephen and Holly are here. Mark, he's here as well. So Pastor, Billy, all the leaders on the team. So go out there, crush it, keep doing what you're doing. Submit those numbers so I can make sure to get you the recognition you deserve. And we'll be talking to you guys soon, okay? We'll see you next week.